You said the WNBA, they're targeting Caitlin Clark. What do you mean by how she's being guarded or, enforced?
I think you and I both know the landscape that we live in today.
So this is Caitlin Clark, and she is the best rookie in the WNBA. One of the best rookies in the history of the WNBA. A really freaking good player.
Both sports-wise and non-sports-wise, right? We are in a red-blue. And if you're red, you can't agree with blue. And if you're blue, you can't agree with red.
A historically great player for her age and experience in the WNBA. But one person who did not think she was going to be good is Geno Auriemma. And we have made plenty of videos talking about Geno Auriemma.
Consider this. The most influential women's basketball coach subtly determines that Caitlin Clark is unfit for his dynasty. He had Paige Bucher already. She wasn't necessary for him. It wasn't by coincidence that Geno Auriemma remained silent. It conveyed a message. A door slammed. Here's the irony, though. Clark did not disappear. She moved to Iowa and started her own business, full arenas, controlling highlight reels, and making millions for the sport. So how did the player he had previously disregarded wind up costing him a significant sum of money? Let's dissect it. Please do me a little favor before we begin. Please hit like and subscribe if you like this content. More than 98% of viewers watch without making a subscription. You can use it for free, but you won't realize how much it helps us. Have you clicked it? Perfect. Thank you. Let's return to the narrative now. What happens if the most powerful voice in women's basketball says you don't fit in? Caitlin Clark went through exactly that when Geno Auriemma didn't even consider hiring her. Clark wasn't worth changing the roster for because Paige Bucher was locked in. She wasn't the focal point of his program, in his opinion. Everything changed when the gatekeeper silently departed Clark after deciding who was important. Rather than give up, she made a decision that changed the story, not just for her career, but also for the game.
They're in the middle. If you're a college player and you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players.
I'm pretty sure I've got maybe 150,000 views just going over this take over and over again and how dumb it was. And we've revisited it. We always revisit it a few times.
By saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP of the WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid.
Obviously there are plenty of people. There are more than you can think of that would apply to. But obviously Geno Auriemma is one of them. Obviously Cheryl Swoops is one of them. He's not going to be out here naming names, but obviously that applies to a lot more.
However, this was about more than one athlete. IT completely changed the landscape of women's basketball. UConn was the place where brilliance was acknowledged for many years. Maya Moore, Breanna Stewart, and Diana Taurasi. Were you truly elite if you weren't wearing Husky blue? Geno was certain that Caitlin Clark would not be a member of his dynasty, since he thought the answer was yes. It appeared to be rejection at first. In actuality, Clark didn't make a concession when he selected Iowa. It was a chance. In order to avoid playing second fiddle to Paige Bucher in a system where her limelight would constantly be shared, she opted for leadership over hierarchy and a program designed around her. One of the most significant player-driven changes the sport has ever witnessed was brought about by that choice. Arenas that had previously had trouble filling seats were turning away spectators by her sophomore year. In order to witness her emerge from the logo, students set up camp outside Carver Hawkeye Arena. Events that had previously barely made the ratings chart suddenly attracted viewership that networks had never imagined women's basketball could. Clark was performing rather than merely competing. Minutes after the ball left her hands, videos went viral on TikTok and Twitter, drawing millions of viewers online in addition to the thousands that crowded the building. These photos of the deep logo range weren't merely highlights, they were proof that Geno had neglected a non-supporting character. The stats demonstrated that she was the primary attraction. Nearly 10 million people watched Iowa versus LSU, which was more than most NBA playoff games that year. Every game at home sold out. something that Caitlin Clark's rise changes everything has not seen in decades. One player nearly immediately doubled television ratings, revolutionized ticket demand, and exploded product sales. History was never meant to be made in Iowa. However, Clark made it the hub of the basketball community. She demonstrated that being overlooked by UConn wasn't a drawback each time she on the court. It served as inspiration. Regarding Geno, he minimized everything and, at least in public, dismissed her accomplishments with snide remarks.
Or a bad name. Okay, so the kid was set up for failure right from the beginning. So if you're a WNBA player, and believe me, I've coached the best, and I've pissed them off a lot, and they let me know about it.
And the funniest part about this is, this was directly after Caitlin Clark dropped 30. Like, Caitlin Clark literally dropped 30 points versus the Washington Mystics the night before this.
But they were tremendously disrespected. And none of them are going to say it. But human nature is, okay, this kid's coming into the league. And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said.
She had just dropped, I repeat, she had just had her second 30-point game. Like, Caitlin Clark since then has had one 30-point game. She has had one 30-point game since then. At this stage of the Geno Auriemma,
the idea that she was controlling anything at all would make him shake his head. He once disparaged her skill by likening it to a child shooting in a driveway, diminishing her range and inventiveness to tricks rather than brilliance. In interviews, he echoed the idea, occasionally scoffing at the publicity around Clark without even mentioning her by name. That commentary wasn't harmless. The old guard was resisting, attempting to take back authority and reminding everyone that he was the only one who could truly define greatness. However, Clark earned more support the more he talked. Even casual supporters were turned off by his remarks, which started to work against him. He even made fun of her supporters on several sites, saying they were rude or stupid for giving her such a high profile so quickly. It just made her movement stronger rather than sowing doubt. The plot began to shift. This was more than just a growing celebrity grabbing media attention. The Geno Auriemma's reaction and media coverage system had failed by ignoring her, as this generational talent revealed, and Clark continued to provide while he continued to talk. Under the brightest lights, she scored 41 points and recorded triple-doubles while answering every question on the court without ever replying.
You know, Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league, and she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player.
Exactly it. Is that every single person thought the 2020 ESPN recruiting class was historic. The 2020 ESPN 100.
You're going to say, I'm going to make a statement. Targeted by society, targeted by her looks, targeted by her reputation, targeted by the disrespect that they've shown to the WNBA. There's a huge target on this kid's back. I thought Cameron Brink said something really smart.
Was seen as a historic class for its time. Like, you don't realize how hyped Paige Beckers was. And you don't realize, like, look, if you want to say, oh, Caitlin Clark was always better. No, she wasn't.
The notion that she was actually controlling anything made him laugh. At one point, he dismissed her deep shots as mere showmanship and likened her style to a child shooting by themselves in a driveway. In interviews, he reaffirmed that position, occasionally without mentioning Clark by merely rolling his eyes at the publicity surrounding her. This commentary wasn't harmless. In an attempt to reclaim its power and remind everyone who is meant to determine greatness, the old establishment was retaliating. However, every comment had the opposite impact. Clark's support grew louder as he said more. Even casual fans were turned off by his remarks. He even went so far as to criticize her followers on various sites, saying they were disrespectful or stupid for elevating her so rapidly. It gave her followers even more vigor rather than casting doubt on them. The plot took a different turn. This was more than just a promising talent attracting notice. It was a generational skill that demonstrated how the system failed by ignoring her. And Clark continued to produce as he continued to speak. She performed 401 points and triple-doubles on the grandest venues, letting her game speak for itself without ever answering.